Hello, my name is Alan Horvath, and this is to answer the question. I've had people asking what my background is and how I've educated myself on God's Word and, what leads me to be here teaching points about the Bible. And so I want to try and give a brief synopsis of my background. Although I did spend a very short time in seminary, which many of us like to refer to as cemetery for for some good reasons. It was a very, very short time up in Oneonta, New York, with a non-denominational church. I was in my early 30s, and it was a very very cool church, and I did wind up entering their seminary course, and I was about a month away from being ordained and walked away from it. That's my only involvement ever in my life with any form of organized religion, although it turned out to be what always kept me away from organized religion. It did, for a short time, not have any of those qualities of, men trying to control people and trying to create their own doctrine, if you will. Doctrines that are not in the Holy Bible. Now, I have always been a rebel to any form of organized things. Started as early as school. As soon as I was old enough, 16 years old, I quit the school system, which, troubled the school system greatly because my IQ scores are rather high, and they were very curious to know why I wanted to leave their beloved institution. And I told them, I just thought it was worthless, and I still do. I've never regretted it. I don't advise other people along those lines. You have to be a bit of an oddball like I am in order to live that kind of a life. But I've always been very, very independent, and always wanted to walk to the beat of my own drum, and I always have. I've never really had a job. I've never bought into the worldly system on any level, at any time in my life. And I'm happy to say that. At any rate, my studies of the scriptures goes back quite a ways. I mean, I have a very powerful memory at the age of 7 of my grandfather, who came to America from Syria. He was a street preacher, very passionate about the message of the Bible. His Bible was written in Aramaic, and he spoke Aramaic, so he had an understanding that I don't think we can garner ourselves. Understanding the original language, very pictorial thing that goes on up here. And I learned from him early on that it was extremely difficult, if rarely possible, for him to interpret Aramaic ideas into English. Very, very difficult thing to do. But I remember him, when I was 7 years old, reading to me out of the book of Revelation with tears running down his face. And that left an indelible mark on me, where I thought, when I grow up, I am going to read this book and find out what those tears were really all about, because I saw something very unusual in him. He passed away when I was 9, and I'm happy to say that I kept that promise to myself. Another aspect was my own dad, who, when I was maybe 12 years old and questioned some things. He was a wonderful man. You could ask him any question, and his answers were always accurate and sincere and full of truth. He never exaggerated a point, and he never fed me a line of garbage ever. But he told me, he says, look, there are as many religions out there as there are men. When you grow up, you're going to have to read this book for yourself and make your own decisions about these things. And, that's what I did. Well, I probably started studying the Bible on my own around the age of 11 or 12. And it went on. Now, like I said, when I was 16, I quit school. By then I had been reading the Vedas, as the Indian religions. I had been reading Emerson and Thoreau and a lot of philosophers and a lot of the Greek philosophers. I always loved reading, and I was always a very private person, spent a lot of time in solitude and studying and so on. And I quit school. A year later, I went out to Los Angeles. I grew up here in central New Jersey, and started a career as a singer-songwriter, performing artist. Got signed by a publishing company my first year in LA, and probably spent 30 years full-time writing songs, performing on stages, New York City, Toronto, Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Los Angeles, California. I drove across the United States 10 times, 7 times alone. Those were my favorite trips. As secular music, not Christian, and yet my songs were always philosophical, always pointing about questions of life, and always spoke of God and my personal beliefs in secular ways. I never liked Christian music. I thought it was too pretentious. I still feel that way for the most part. But throughout all that time, I was always studying anything spiritual. I read The Course in Miracles 3 times. I thought that was a great book, but it's the book that taught me that 90% of the truth equals no truth at all. Because a lot of these philosophies, a lot of these other religions, they're full of truth. That's what makes them such wonderful studies. But they leave out this little percentage, and that is that the only way to the kingdom of the Creator of heaven and earth, Yahweh, is through His one and only Son, Yeshua HaMashiach Nagid Tzidkenu, Jesus Christ, Messiah, King of Israel, our righteousness. And I learned to pronounce, what most people refer to as Yahweh. I say Yahweh, and that comes from my Jiddu, that's my grandfather, who passed away when I was 9. I always remember him saying Yahweh. Beautiful language. Anyway, so I studied it all, but by the time I got into my later 20s and early 30s, I had, made a clear decision, Christianity is the only real truth. The other ones always lead you down a false path into self-worship or, thinking that you're God, we create our own reality and all that kind of thing. But I've been studying the Holy Scriptures for more than 4 decades, personally, on my own, and of course reading other commentators. I fell in love with Chuck Missler, who's I believe is a wonderful teacher of the Bible, and I enjoyed him mostly because he teaches the Bible from the standpoint of prophecy. And that's what gets me so excited about the Bible, are the prophetic passages, especially because of where we are now and what's going on in the world now. So I'm completely self-taught. but have many, 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 many hours of heavy, in-depth study of the Holy Scriptures, using books like Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible and Vine's Dictionary and other reference tools, always digging into the original Hebrew from the Old Testament and the original Greek from the New Testament to do my best to understand what was written down and what was being said, because the English interpretations can really lead us astray. And that's why I'm here on YouTube. I'm trying to share everything that I love about God's Word with you. I hope that answers the question. God bless.